Hey y'all, we have reached the end of September's new book releases, and I'm a little bit afraid that next week is going to have nothing because they packed so much into this week. There's a lot. And it is fantasy heavy this week, but I have a few other genres that will have timestamps, and hopefully you'll find something you enjoy on this list and that you enjoy the video, and we'll come back for next week's. Now, so that this video is not forever long, let's go ahead and get into these books. Let's start this out, as I should probably start putting in the intro every time. I will mispronounce names. I am very sorry. I will mispronounce places too, probably, but I don't really mean to, and I try my best. And I hate butchering, especially people's names, like the authors' names. But since fantasy is the big one, we're going to start out actually with fiction. And our only fiction of the week is The Museum of Failures by 30 Umringar. It's an immersive story about family secrets and the power of forgiveness. When Remy Wadia left India for the United States, he carried his resentment of his cold and inscrutable mother with him as he kept his distance from her. Years later, he returns to Bombay planning to adopt a baby from a young pregnant girl, and to see his elderly mother again before it is too late. She is in the hospital, has stopped talking, and seems to have given up on life. Struck with guilt for not realizing just how ill she had become, Remy devotes himself to helping her recover and return home. But one day in her apartment, he comes upon an old photograph that demands explanation. As shocking family secrets surface, Remy finds himself reevaluating his entire childhood and his relationship to his parents, just as he is on the cusp of becoming a parent himself. Can Remy learn to forgive others for the human frailties, or is he too wedded to his own sorrow and anger over his parents' long-ago decisions? So it sounds like a very emotional story about family healing from past traumas and someone understanding their parents more as they're becoming a parent. So he hasn't got the kid yet, so it seems a little harder to understand them. You can understand them from the point of an adult, not quite a parent yet. And then our romance of the week is A December to Remember by Jenny Bayliss. Now this one, I almost wanted to say fiction too, because it sounds more like it's going to be about the relationship of the sisters themselves, like rebonding as sisters, more than like romance. But I mean, I'm sure they meet people in the story too, or at least, I don't know. 3 bickering half-sisters, one unique antique shop, the coziest holiday season of their lives. Wildly different half-sisters, Maggie, Simone, and Star, have hardly seen one another since their slightly sprightly summers at Rowanthorpe, their eccentric father's Augustus's home. Known for his bustling approach to the knick-knack shop he ran, Augustus was loved by all and known by none, not even his daughters. Now, years later, the 3 estranged women are called upon for a reading of Augustus's will, and quickly realize that he's orchestrated a series of hoops through which they must jump to unlock their inheritance. The last thing any of them want to do. But Maggie and Star desperately need the money, and who would Simone be to resist? Through hilarious goose chases, small-town mishaps, and one heartwarming winter solstice celebration, love is in the air if only the 3 sisters can let themselves grasp it. So that's the only part that sounds romancy, is that love is in the air thing. It really sounds like a relationship of rebonding of the sisters. Promise, I'm putting the car tracker on this one, like for reals. For reals. I almost debate going back to the other room, but I don't know. I like this kind of better. Nobody has told me in the comments what you guys like better. Next, we move into sci-fi with The Fractured Dark by Megan O'Cafee. This is the sequel to The Devoured Worlds that came out in June. This year, there are so many authors putting out multiple books in the same year. It's kind of crazy. I need to read more of the books though and be like, is the quality good though? Are we doing a good job here? Not that I'm the best judge of that. Really, I have a lot of forgiveness for so many things that people are nitpicky about, like editings and stuff. I judge more on your story, or if your characters are stupid. The description of the first book is, stranded on a dead planet with her mortal enemy, a spy must survive and uncover a conspiracy in the first book of an epic space opera trilogy. So, the next one is slated sometime next year. She's a revolutionary. Humanity is running out of options. Habitable planets are being destroyed as quickly as they're found, and Naria Sharp thinks she knows the reason why. The all-powerful Mercator family has been controlling the exploration of the universe for decades, and exploiting any materials they find along the way under the guise of helping humanity's expansion. But Naria knows the truth, and she plans to bring the whole family down from the inside. He's the heir to the dynasty. Tarquin Mercator never wanted to run a galaxy-spanning business empire. He just wanted to study rocks and read books. But Tarquin's father has tasked him with monitoring the settlement of a new planet, and he doesn't really have a choice in the matter. Disguised as Tarquin's new bodyguard, Narya plans to destroy the settlement ship before they make land, but neither of them expects to end up stranded on a dead planet. To survive and keep her secret, Narya will have to join forces with the man she's sworn to hate, and together they will uncover a plot that's bigger than both of them. Our next sci-fi is The Salvation Gambit by Emily Shortsky. Murdoch has always believed in Hark, the woman who shaped her from a petty thief and a low-life hacker into a promising con artist. Hark is everything Murdoch aspires to be, from her slick fashion sense to her unfailing ability to plan under pressure, together with Beta, a fearless driver who never walks away from a bet, and Fitz, Murdoch's infuriatingly mercurial rival who can sweet-talk the galaxy into spinning around her finger. They form a foursome with a reputation for daring heists, massive payoffs, and never, ever getting caught. Well, until now. Getting caught is one thing. Getting tithed to a sentient warship that styled itself to be into a punitive god is a problem this team has never faced before. Aboard the Justice is a world stitched together from the galaxy's sinners, some fighting for survival, some struggling to build a civilized society, and some sacrificing everything to worship the AI at the heart of the ship. Okay. The Justice's all-seeing eyes are fixed on its newest acquisitions, Murdoch in particular. It has use for a hacker if it can wrest her devotion away from Hark, and Murdoch's faith is already fractured. To escape the Justice's madness, they need a plan, and Hark might not be up to the task. If Hark, brilliant, unflappable Hark, can't plot a way out, Murdoch will have to use every last trick she's learned to outwit the Justice, resist its temptation, and get her crew out alive. So, that one sounds very, very promising. Next, we have YA fantasy with the first two. I think I have the first two listed that are going to be the books for the October boxes. Like this first, right? October? September? Oh, crap. I don't remember anymore. But this one is going to be in the Fairy Loot YA box. It is If I Have to Be Haunted by Miranda Sun, or at least 80-90% certain this is going to be the book. Kara Tang doesn't want to be haunted. Look, the dead have issues, and Kara has enough on her own. Her overbearing mother insists she be the perfect Chinese-American daughter, which means suppressing her ghost-speaking powers, and she keeps getting into fights with Zacharias Coulson, the local golden boy whose smirk makes her want to set things on fire. Then she stumbles across Zach's dead body in the wood. He's even more infuriating as a ghost, but Kara's the only one who can see him and save him. Agreeing to resurrect him puts her at odds with her mother, draws her into a dangerous liminal world of monsters and magic, and worse, leaves her stuck with Zach. Yet as she and Zach grow closer, forced to depend on each other to survive, Kara finds the most terrifying thing that she might not hate him so much after all. Maybe this is why her mother warned her about ghosts. I don't know if I said Clara through the whole thing or Cara. It's spelled with a C. I'm confused. I don't know. It does sound kind of cute. I love how she wants to set things on fire because of him. He makes her want to set things on fire. That is an adorable way to describe things. Then the one that I'm pretty sure is the Owl Crate. This is October because September's was a study in drowning, or is a study in drowning. I still have to actually open the box and, double check that. This one though is This Dark Descent by Callan Josephson. Mikura Russell's family has long been famous for breeding enchanted horses, but their prestige is no match for their rising debts. To save her ranch, Mikura has only one option. She must win the Ilnar, a treacherous horse race whose riders either finish maimed or murdered. Yet each year, competitors return, tempted by its alluring prize money and unparalleled prestige. Mikura's mission soon unites her with Aureliel Kadar, an impressive yet illicit enchanter just beginning to come into her true power, and Damien Adair, a dashing young lord in the midst of a fierce succession battle. Both have hidden reasons of their own to help Mikura, as well as their own blood feuds to avenge. Moving right along, we have Foul Heart Huntsman by Chloe Gong. This is the conclusion to the Foul Lady Fortune duology. I think there's also a novella in here though. The first book it's 1931 in Shanghai, and the stage is set for a new decade of intrigue. 4 years ago, Rosalind Lang was brought back from the brink of death, but the stage experiment that saved her also stopped her from sleeping and aging, and allows her to heal from any wound. In short, Rosalind cannot die. Now desperate for redemption from her treacherous past, she uses her abilities as an assassin for her country. Codename Fortune. But when the Japanese Imperial Army begins its invasion march, Rosalind's mission pivots. A series of murders is causing unrest in Shanghai, and the Japanese are under suspicion. Rosalind's new orders are to infiltrate foreign society and identify the culprits behind the terror plot before more of her people are killed. To reduce suspicion, however, she must pose as the wife of another nationalist spy, Orion Hong. And though Rosalind finds Orion's cavalier attitude and playboy demeanor infuriating, she is willing to work with him for the greater good. But Orion has an agenda of his own, and Rosalind has secrets that she wants to keep buried. As they both attempt to unravel this conspiracy, the two spies soon find that there are deeper and more horrifying layers to this mystery than ever imagined. First one this week that's returning to a world we have already seen but is not actually in that first series is going to be The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Mahurin. This one is set in the Serpent and Dove world, but we're following different characters, like really different characters. When I first read about this and talked about this a few months ago, I think, I didn't realize that it was only in the world and not completely connected. This one, though, we're following Cecile Tremblay, as she's always been a good girl, kind and beautiful, the daughter of whom every parent would be proud. She surprises the entire kingdom when she defies tradition to become the first huntswoman, including her new captain and fiancé, Jean-Luc, who rules the huntsmen with an iron fist. He isn't the only one concerned for Cecile's safety, however. Though her friends try to protect her from the horrors of her past, mysterious whispers still haunt her, and a new evil is rising in Beltara, leaving bodies in its wake, each one drained of blood. Determined to prove herself in her new role, Cecile tracks the killer to the lair of Les Eternals, ancient creatures only spoken about in nursery rhymes, and catches the attention of their king, a monster who hides his plans for her behind beautiful words and sharp smiles. Now Cecile has new reason to fear the dark, because the closer he gets, the more tempted she feels to give in to his dark hunger and her own. So see, in the first series, we were dealing with the witches, and I only read the first book, so I can't say if vampires ever came up, but this one we have vampires. Haha. Finally, we move into the fantasy genre, starting with a historical set kind of fantasy. But this is going to be The Pomegranate Gate by Ariel Kaplan. I really thought this had already come out too, but it's the first adventure in the Mirror Realm cycle. It's a Spanish Inquisition era fantasy trilogy inspired by Jewish folklore. Taba Perez can speak but not shout, sleep but not dream. She can write with both hands at once in different languages, but she keeps her talents hidden at her grandparents' behest. Naftali Crisquez sees things that aren't real and dreams things that are. Always the family disappointment, Naftali would still risk his life to honor his father's last wishes. After the Queen demands every Jew convert or face banishment, Taba and Naftali are among thousands of Jews who flee their homes. Defying royal orders to abandon all possessions, Taba keeps an amulet she must never take off. Naftali smuggles a centuries-old book he's forbidden to read. But the Inquisition is hunting these particular treasures, and they're not hunting alone. Toba stumbles through a pomegranate grove into a mirror realm of the Mazak, mythical, terrible immortals with an Inquisition of their own. Equally cruel and even more powerful, the Mazak kingdoms are in political turmoil. This Inquisition readies to bid to control both realms. Oh, yeah. In each world, Taba and Naftali must evade both Inquisitions long enough to unravel the connection between their family heirlooms and the realm of the Mazak. Their fates are tied to this strange place, and it's up to them to save it. I'm so sorry I messed that one up so very badly. Then we have a fantasy mystery called The Hexologist by Josiah Bancroft. This one, while having a historical feel, is actually set in like an alternate timeline situation. The Hexologist and Warren Wimbley are quite accustomed to helping desperate clients with the bugbears of city life. Aided by hexes and a bag of charmed relics, the Wimbleys have recovered children abducted by chimney wraiths, removed infestations of barb-nosed incubi, and ventured into the gray plains of the unmade to soothe a troubled ghost. Well acquainted with the weird, they never shy away from a challenging case. But when they are approached by the royal secretary and told the king pleads to be baked into a cake, going so far as to wedge himself inside the lit oven, the Wimbleys soon find themselves embroiled in a mystery that could very well see the nation turned on its head. Their effort to expose a royal secret buried under 40 years of lies brings them nose to nose with a violent anti-royalist gang, avarice ghouls, alchemists who draw their power from a hell-like dimension, and a bookish dragon who only occasionally eats people. The dragon's cool, but oh my god, the king wanting to be baked into a cake. That is what really got me about this one. Next we have a contemporary fantasy called The Witches of Bone Hill by Ava Morgan. Cordelia Bone's meticulously crafted life and career in Dallas are crashing down around her thanks to a philandering husband with criminal debts. When her older carefree sister Eustace, a cannabis grower in Boulder, calls to inform her that the great aunt they never met has died and they must travel to a small town in Connecticut to deal with the estate, she sees an opportunity to unload the house and save herself. But once there, the sisters learn they are getting much more than they bargained for. The Victorian mansion they stand to inherit is bound in a dynasty trust called by their late aunt's aging attorney, who insists they retain and inhabit the house but keeps them in the dark about the peculiar rituals of their ancestors. Not to mention a sexy, tattooed groundskeeper with a shrouded past who refuses to leave the carriage house and a crypt full of dead relatives looming at the property line. As both women grapple with their current predicament, they come face to face with a haunting family secret, the truth of what happened to their mother, and the enemy that's been stalking them from the shadows for generations. In a twisting torrent of terror and blood, the sisters must uncover the power within them to heal their fractured relationship, reverse their mysteriously declining health, and claim the lineage they wanted to escape but now must embrace if they are to survive at Bone Hill. That one sounds... That sounds interesting, and I almost want to add it to the October TBR, but there's already so many things. Our next one is going to be The Fragile Threads of Power by B.E. Schwab. This is the second where we're returning to a world that's been built before, but with slightly, it's like its own series. It's a second series like in this world. Once there were 4 worlds nestled like pages in a book, each pulsing with fantastical power and connected by a single city, London, until the magic grew too fast and forced the worlds to seal the doors between them in a desperate gamble to protect their own. The few magicians who could still open the doors grew more rare as time passed, and now only 3 Antari are known in recent memory. Kel Marish of Red London, Delilah Bard of Grey London, and Holland Vosick of White London. But barely a glimpse of them has been seen in the last 7 years, and a new Antari named Koshka has appeared in White London, taking the throne in Holland's absence. The young queen is willing to feed her city with blood, including her own, but her growing religious fervor has the potential to drown in it instead. And back in Red London, King Rai Mahara is threatened by the rising rebellion, one determined to correct the balance of power by raising the throne entirely. These two royals from very different empires now face very similar struggles, how to keep their crowns and their own heads. So while it's probably still good to read the first trilogy, like to know about this, but possibly you could start here, like in some series that's a possibility. I don't know. Some people might get mad at me for reading the description for that one, but it feels slightly unconnected. I don't know. And our next one is I don't know. I'm not sure if it's little, but I think it might be a smaller book. It's called The Navigating Fox by Christopher Rowe. It's already got 5-star reviews, and they talk about how like the symbolisms and stuff is different interpretations could be made about it from different angles. Like it touches different things. Quintus Shahal, the world's only navigating fox, is in disgrace after guiding an expedition to its doom, leaving no survivors. 1 year later, Quintus is offered the chance to redeem himself. He will need to lead a motley, factitious team, both human and animal, all the way to the gates of hell. And that's it. That's the description. Then our last book of the week is The Undetectables by Courtney Smythe. A magical serial killer is stalking the occult town of Racton. Hypnotic whistling causes victims to chew their own tongues off, leading the killer being dubbed the Whistler. Original, right? Enter the Undetectables, a detective agency run by 3 witches and a ghost in a cat costume. Don't ask. They are hired to investigate the murders, but with their only case so far left unsolved, will they be up to the task? Mallory, the forensic science expert, is struggling with pain and fatigue from her recently diagnosed fibromyalgia. Cornelia is suddenly stirring all sorts of feelings in Mallory. Diana is hitting up all her ex-girlfriends for information, and not forgetting a ghostly Theodore, deceased, dramatic, and also the agency's first unsolved murder case. Oh dear. But with bodies stacking up and the case leading them to mysteries at the very heart of magical society, can the Undetectables find the Whistler before they become the serial killer's next victims? We have reached the end of this week's very long list of TBR books. No, oh gosh. Of new releases that hopefully you're going to want to put on your TBR, and I'm debating for mine, even though October is already shaping up to be really long and I might need to trim it. I don't know. But hopefully you enjoyed this and will consider checking out some of my others, and if you enjoy my content, subscribing to join us for future new releases so you'll know all the books coming out every week. And we might consider finding a new time to film. I don't know, I have not found a good time yet when there's less traffic. Still haven't figured it out. But check out some of my other videos like the Starter Villain review or all of the anticipated releases for the coming weeks, months. And every Monday, you know, we put out the new weekly releases and unboxings, and more reviews are coming soon. Thank you guys for being here. I hope you're having an awesome day and finding something great to read. I'll see y'all later.